Hi, I'm Ben and you're watching Batarang to the Butt. You might have heard some excitement recently about Marvel's Black Knight, a character which is not to be confused with the 2001 Martin Lawrence comedy classic. Remember that? I bet that one doesn't hold up.
Let's get it over with.
Anyway, Marvel's Black Knight is being introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So now I'm doing that thing where I make a video about a character so that you don't have to read decades worth of comics to understand what's happening. Lucky you. Okay, let's get stuck in. The original Black Knight, Sir Percival, was a medieval knight who fought alongside and protected King Arthur. This character first appeared in May of 1955, which means that the Black Knight actually predates the conception of Marvel Comics. This character was originally published by Atlas Comics, which would soon transition into the comic book titan that we now know and mostly love. But anyway, as the Black Knight, Percy wielded the Ebony Blade, which Merlin had forged from a meteorite. The blade was enchanted to cut through any object, to prevent the death of its wielder, and to deflect any magic. Basically, it's a really dope sword. But now, we jump forward in both real and fictional time. Centuries later, Sir Percy's tomb and the Ebony Blade were discovered by his ancestor, Professor Nathan Garrett. However, Garrett's evil tendencies made him unworthy of wielding the sword. It was like a Mjolnir type situation, and Garrett was no Thor. So, a frustrated Garrett then devised an arsenal of medieval weapons that used modern technology, and he had genetic engineers create a winged horse. I know, that's kind of dumb, but this was in the Silver Age of comics, so you're just gonna have to go with it. After Garrett's 1964 debut as the villainous Black Knight in Tales to Astonish issue 52, he quickly became a recurring villain for the Avengers. However, a few years later, in 1966, he was mortally wounded in a battle against Iron Man, in Tales of Suspense issue 73. Professor Nathan Garrett was finally defeated, but it was later revealed that he had just about enough time to get in touch with his nephew. Which brings us to the modern version of the character. We first met scientist Dane Whitman, the next heir to the Black Knight legacy, in 1968's Avengers issue 47. In the following issue, we learn that Dane inherited his family castle from his uncle. It's still filled with his uncle's technology, and so Dane decides to use that tech to redeem the mantle of the Black Knight. He planned to restore the honour of his ancestors and to make up for his uncle's criminal ways. But Ben, what about the enchanted Ebony Blade, I hear you say? Well, the following year, in Marvel Superheroes issue 17, Dane encountered the spirit of Sir Percy, the original Black Knight, and the original wielder of the Ebony Blade. Unlike his uncle though, Dane is deemed worthy, and so he becomes the new wielder of the dope sword, the Ebony Blade. Then at one point, thanks to time-travelling shenanigans with the Defenders, Dane ends up possessing one of his ancestors and living life in the 12th century. While there, he gets to live the life of a genuine knight of old. However, in 1982's Avengers issue 226, the Black Knight ends up sacrificing himself while saving a group of time-travelling Avengers. But thankfully, this only leads to his body in the modern day being resurrected. So, it all worked out. Then, a couple of years later, in Doctor Strange issue 68, we discover that the Ebony Blade is cursed. It turns out that every time that it draws blood, it drives its user closer to madness. And so, Dane's relationship with the weapon becomes a bit more complicated. For a time, he even stopped using it, instead wielding a technological sword instead, which was basically a lightsaber, so just another kind of dope sword. Just the non-cursed kind. Over the years, the Black Knight joined many superhero teams, including the Avengers, the Defenders, Ultra Force, Heroes for Hire, and MI-13. But in 2001, the Black Knight sustained a head injury while reaching for a mysterious amulet. This causes him to awaken back in the 14th century. Wait, no, that's not right. Oh, that's the Martin Lawrence movie. And, sheesh, it turns out that it does not hold up well. So let's hop back over to the Marvel Universe. In 2005's New Excalibur issue 10, it was revealed that Dane had turned his family castle into a Black Knight museum, which housed the tomb of Sir Percy, as well as featuring paintings of other Black Knights from throughout the centuries. You see, it turns out there was more than just him, his uncle, and his great whatever. There is actually a long and illustrious history of the Black Knights. Hopefully this video has given you a good understanding of what their deal is. Now that you know the basics, I would highly recommend you check out the Black Knight series from 2015, or Black Knight Curse of the Ebony Blade from earlier this year. And as always, if you enjoyed this video then please leave a like, that really helps. Also be sure to like Batarang to the Butt on Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel for even more geeky good stuff just like this.
Oh, sire, you're hung like a horse.